I'm Natalie. Welcome to the Stride Sisters podcast. On today's episode, it's time for glitter and magic because this week's episode is all about the Princess Half Marathon Weekend 2026 event guide. I'll take you through everything you need to know from the expo, through your races, and to that magical sunrise yoga at the end of the weekend. So, lace up your shoes and step into the magic with us. Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another week of fun and games. I almost said fun in the sun, but given that it's winter in the United States, at least, the sun may not be conducive to the fun part. I know last week, when it was like 20 something degrees out, said, oh, it feels like a heat wave. And when I mean 20 degrees, I mean Fahrenheit, not Celsius. So, I also just came from somewhere very warm and sunny in California. So if you can't tell, I am recording from the past and I am on my way back from Disneyland at this point in time. I'm sure it was a wonderful weekend that you'll hear about next week. I'm sure it was a little bit emotional too. Now that we are saying goodbye, and hopefully, again, it's a ta-ta for now to the Disneyland races. So I hope you had a wonderful race weekend. Welcome to February. Let's just start off with that. Crazy because January was simultaneously very long, but also sped on by. In terms of updates of sorts, I just did Disneyland, so I don't really have training updates, but I do have somewhat of like a personal update. And you might have noticed in the show notes over the last couple weeks, but I am a brand ambassador for Tomorrowland Productions, LLC. So my brand code is in the show notes. I am very, very, very grateful for this opportunity. And you can check them out. Pretty much all the skirts I wear these days are Tomorrowland Productions. They're beautiful. They really do a great job of, they hold up really well. I very much find like I am paying good quality for the dollar, and that weekend over weekend and wash over wash, I'm able to still wear and have a very, very beautiful outfit. I will try to get Steph, the crafter in chief, onto the show in the next couple of months to chit chat about it. But use code NAT15 on purchases at Tomorrowland Productions. You won't regret it. That totally felt like an ad read. Like, oh man, I've never really done one of those before. I don't have a delicate transition into this, but I got a Blister Brigade. So first of all, let's shout out to Emily, Dr. Dare Runs, but because she ran a marathon not this past weekend, but the weekend prior, and she did an amazing job. But I'm going to get into a little bit of her blister story. She writes, a marathon PR in age group second place, but at what cost? Immediately after finishing, I could tell some toesies were feeling off. Blisters on both my feet. Ugh. Blister 1 on my right foot, on the middle toe. A space that had previously been occupied by a callus that fell off during training. Gross, I know. But maybe back with a vengeance. She is big. Left foot has a nice side blister on my ring toe, but she's a bit teenier, but new and plump. Okay, so automatically we have to go with duos. Absolutely. And in the spirit of this being an episode talking about the Princess Half Marathon weekend, and it's Princess Half Marathon weekend month, I'm going to have to go with Anna and Elsa for this. And I got to say blister number 1 on the right foot, on the middle toe, like kind of like came back with a vengeance. That's Elsa for us. And the big sister, and then the left foot one, got to be Anna. Kind of like teenier, but like new in a way. That's Anna. So welcome to the Blister Brigade, Emily. Also, congratulations on an age group second place in marathon PR. I know you worked really, really, really hard for that. So I'm so proud of you. And I hope your blisters, by the time you're listening to this, have subsided. Oh, never gets old. And I know that it stinks to have a blister, but it does make it funny. So we got our days till our next races. We have just 23 days until Princess Half Marathon weekend. So exciting. I hope that training went well and the simulation you had this past weekend went well, and you know what you need to tweak going forward heading into this little bit of a down week. We have 72 days until Springtime Surprise Weekend 2026. 261 days until Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend 2026. Club Run Disney registration is today, so your links will be coming out. Usually it's around 10 a.m. Eastern time or so. You get an email, but it just pops up in your account that you have the registration. Have I decided what I'm doing? Nar. I haven't. So I'm going to waffle on that a little bit. General registration is 1 week from today, and it's the 10th of February. Your proof of time deadline is June 1st of 2026, and I'll let you know what the shirt deadline is once I know what it is too. We have 337 days until Marathon Weekend 2027. Club Run Disney registration is about 5 weeks away on March 10th. General registration is on March 17th. So if you did Dopey last year or this past January, you have about 6 weeks left to give your amnesia about anything that went wrong with it and then go, yep, I'm doing that again. It's just how it goes. In terms of Disney news, I have something that's only somewhat tangentially Disney related at this point, where we didn't get springtime medals, and it'll be really funny if we got them like Thursday, but I'm recording earlier than that. The tangential Disney related news that I do have is that every women's marathon is headed to New Orleans on February 28th, 2027. So that will overlap Princess Half Marathon weekend in 2027. New Orleans is a new venue for this race as well, which is exciting for sure. I gotta say, I was a little bummed to see that it's going to overlap Princess Half Marathon weekend, not only because I wanted to do every women's marathon. I mean, part of the reason I wanted to do it was when it was the week that it was in November prior, but I don't really love that a weekend that's focused on women. So every women's marathon is also overlaps Princess Half Marathon weekend, which is also a predominantly woman-based race. I don't really know how to transition off of that. But in terms of other Disney news, I don't really have any other Disney news. I am recording early before I even leave for California. So you might want to get it from somewhere else, like Das Does Disney. Plug. But I do have fun facts for you before I get into the main topic of the day. And on this day in 1925, John Fiedler is born in Platteville, Wisconsin. And you might be asking, Natalie, who dat? I would love to tell you. He was the original voice of Piglet in Winnie the Pooh and different TV programs. And also he was an actor on stage, film, television, and radio, including 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone. Also, on this day in 1945, The Three Caballeros was released in the United States. This was the 9th feature film of Disney's and had 4 short stories as kind of the basis of the plot. So, love and appropriate, headed now that we are just 1 week away from general registration for Wine and Dine. But before we're talking about next season, we have to make sure we finish up this one. And we are going to talk about the Princess Half Marathon Weekend Event Guide. Woohoo! Feels like we just did this, but in a great way. I love walking or going through the event guides. I love all the details that go into them. I love just kind of poring over everything. Our featured charity for the weekend is Starlight Children's Foundation. And Starlight delivers moments of joy to seriously ill kids through Disney-themed hospital gowns and toy deliveries. And this is the 4th year in a row that this has been the celebrated charity of Princess Half Marathon Weekend. It's a wonderful cause. Make sure you check out the video that's linked in the event guide for a little bit more information on Starlight's mission. You will probably see it throughout the weekend as well, but it's a wonderful cause and very, very worthy to deliver some joy to children who are facing unimaginable illnesses. And it helps spark their imagination while they are on their hospital stays. So we're going to go into the expo first. Our hours on Thursday, February 26th, it'll be open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. On Friday, February 27th, it'll be open from noon to 7 p.m. And on Saturday, February 28th, it'll be open from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Your check-in pass will be available on Monday, February 23rd, 2026. You'll have to bring your printed or digital check-in pass along with a valid photo ID to get your bib. And you want to make sure you sign your waiver on your account. Otherwise, you will need to fill out a paper one at the expo. If you are international, you will not be able to fill out your waiver on the account. You'll have to just do that in person. But you still should get a check-in pass that has your PhotoPass code on it. That is how you will be able to link. It's not necessarily linked to your bib number anymore, where it's a code and then your number. It's a unique code that's generated and is available on your check-in pass. There will be a virtual queue for merchandise on the very first day of the expo on Thursday, February 26th. It'll open at 8:30 a.m. and at 1 p.m., but you can only join one time per day. You can have up to 6 guests in one group for your virtual queue, and you'll access this via My Disney Experience. And once you're in this area, it'll lead you in to see both the Brooks shoes and the merchandise. It's all one virtual queue. You do not need to join 2, unlike at Disneyland this past weekend on day 1 of the expo. Transportation begins 30 minutes prior to expo open and ends 30 minutes prior to it closing. So it's a big charter bus, not necessarily Disney transportation. Sometimes you end up on a Disney Cruise Line bus, but it's usually the big Academy buses. There will be, if you're staying on site on Disney property, there will be some information in your lobby noting what bus stop it is, a little bit more information about where to go. So I often stay at Saratoga Springs, and the bus is near the Springs bus stop, but it's not necessarily the same bus stop. It's across the way. You can see it from the Springs bus stop, which is the one closest to the main building. Just another note about picking up your bib. You must pick it up the day before your race, and you cannot pick up a bib for someone else unless they are a minor. So you must get it the day before your race. Talking a little bit through the expo, there are 3 main buildings that you will go to, and I'm going to start in the order that you should go through, or that they try to lead you through. So the State Farm Fieldhouse is where you get your bib. There are some character greetings listed in here, as well as game day photos. During Marathon Weekend, there was the big castle, which was beautiful, and I really wish I actually stopped for that photo, but I was a one-track mind. I needed to go and I was working, so I had to actually get back to work. I had to go get my runner relations stuff taken care of, but I do wish I went back. There's runner relations is here in this building, as well as athletes with disabilities, Disney account services, all these different booths, as well as, again, where you're going to pick up your bibs. So there's different booths for challenge, 10K, half, and 5K. Once you get your bib, you're going to head to the athletic center, and they'll lead you in that way. And this is where you get your shirts and your other vendors. There is a shirt exchange in there. I know that this is the first full year of Brooks shirts, so we're still kind of figuring out some fits here. But these are going to be short sleeve shirts. It looks like there are some charity booths in here as well in this building. The distance number photo ops are going to be here. One of the big kind of changes at this point that I can note, so Crowned Athletics is going to have a booth in the vendor building, which is very exciting. However, as of the point of recording, it says they're going to be at booth 213. Great. Love that. There are two booth 213s, and I think that they're going to be at the smaller one of the two of them, because Fit to Run is the other one, and that's by their other big Fit to Run booth. So I'm very curious as to how that will work out. But it'll be exciting for them to kind of like have like a spot on the floor, on the expo floor for the first time instead of these separate pop-ups. But there's a lot of really great vendors that are coming back. There are a couple charity ones. There's some ones that I haven't noticed before, like Fabletics and Halara. Those are both other activewear brands. Not necessarily with the Disney arm, the way that Crowned has the Disney arm with it, but definitely it's cool and exciting to see some different brands. I've been super close to buying Halara, like, because they have it's like the cute little athletic dresses with like the shorts underneath. So, but they're not attached, so you don't have to like strip to go to the bathroom, for lack of a better, more polite term. So I'd be curious if they'd have like a little try-on area or just kind of get sizing, because that's been the thing that's been holding me back personally. So that'll be really exciting. And then there's a lot of your standard ones that we're used to seeing. So Jeff Galloway, KT Tape, different Garmin, Fluffy Fizzies is back. They came back for the Marathon Weekend Expo, and that was exciting. Corksicle, a lot of the ones we're used to seeing, weekend over weekend, BB Brook, etc. So definitely check it out. It has been no necessarily clarification on Beer Cup. I assume that, based on what the scuttlebutt is, it's that Disney is permanently contracting out the alcohol and food and bev sales. So at ESPM, like it's fully contracted out. So I would expect it to be that you cannot get your Beer Cup until you're in the parking lot. But hey, I'd be okay with being wrong. And the last building is the Advent Health Arena, which is the location of the Hunger Games, aka where merchandise is. This is what you'll enter on day one with your virtual queue. You have your Club Run Disney Platinum Member Lounge on the second level. The Run Disney merch, Brooks, and the Big Pandora booth are all in the official Run Disney merchandise area. There is a charity welcome center. If you're running for charity this weekend, you may have gotten a note from them. I actually am running for charity for my 5K bib. I have not gotten a note or from my charity about visiting the charity welcome center, but other times I have. They actually have been there. So they are in this little like kind of hovel underneath the stairs heading into the Advent Health Arena, but it is marked and a cast member should be able to help you. I am curious, since we've gotten the merchandise preview, I think that there's a lot of really good stuff there. Last kind of piece about the expo is Coast to Coast. Your expo check-in pass will note if you are eligible, and if you are eligible, you're going to be eligible only the weekend that you will be receiving your medal. So I guess this is a little bit more of a moot point now because we just had the last Disneyland event. So you're either going to be eligible or not. Thank you, Yoda. So I personally just picked up my Coast to Coast medal because it was my second event. It was the Disneyland leg of the event. So anyway, qualified participants will receive a wristband with their bib at the expo if it's the weekend, again, that you are earning the Coast to Coast. After you complete the Princess Half Marathon on Sunday, you must visit the Coast to Coast Challenge area with your wristband to receive your Coast to Coast medal. Again, make sure that they do give it to you when you are doing your check-in and getting your bib. Otherwise, you have to go back to the expo, and that would be a bummer. And don't let them put it on too tight, as our friend of the podcast, Jess, learned last year at Disneyland. Okay, let's talk about the courses for the race weekend. We have our lovely 5K course with one water stop on it. It is wonderful. And you spend your first mile, you kind of take a loop around, you go behind test track, and then after that first mile, you are in the parks. So, and by the parks, I mean Epcot. It is a lovely loop around World Showcase. I really like that. I really like this course. I feel like the absolute ambiance and like the kickoff to the weekend and the vibes are wonderful. Then you make your loop around World Showcase. You do blip into World Celebration, and then you loop around near Spaceship Earth. That line will always look really long for the Spaceship Earth photo stop. It goes way faster because it's just really a snap and go for the most part. Maybe some people do a jump shot, but it looks a lot longer than it is. Sometimes it's looked absolutely horrendous and I've waited maybe 5 minutes. So definitely stop for it if you have the time to. It is a fantastic shot, especially if it's still dark out and Spaceship Earth is lit up. Moving on to the 10K course. I really love this 10K course that we've had for this year. So similar start as to the 5K where we're out on the streets. And then by mile 2, we are in the parks. There are 3 water stops on this course and 2 medical stops just before mile 2 and around mile 3.5 near the Swan and Dolphin. And great course. You do get to loop around the boardwalk and the Yacht and Beach Club, which is always a delight to do. And watching the sun rise at that point, it's a core memory type of course. And then you loop back into Epcot. You do loop around at some point all of the World Showcase, and you then exit. You go kind of almost like the backwards route behind Figment into Journey of the Imagination, and then you do loop around there, head back into the park. You kind of swirl around near the World Celebration Gardens. You do get another opportunity to run by Spaceship Earth and get another wonderful Spaceship Earth shot before you exit the park and head to your finish line. I love this 10K course. It really said, y'all say Disneyland gets a lot of that time. Hold my beer in the parks. It's really great. And then obviously Moana's kind of my girl. Okay. On to the half marathon. Something I haven't noted yet is that something new this year is that they have the estimated final finisher coming in at 8 a.m., event close at 9 a.m. So keep that in mind. I will say usually the Balloon Ladies finish closer to 7:45. So don't kind of take that 8 a.m. as gospel, but just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, big kahuna here. We have the Princess Half Marathon course. This is the same course if you also ran the half marathon during marathon weekend that we ran at that point, which is good because that was great. So we start off on the highway. It's a little squeezy on that first mile or so. And then we get to what I like to call elbow room. Out on the highway, you do run past the Magic Kingdom Toll Plaza by about mile 2.7 or so. And then you head up. You do head by the Polynesian and Grand Floridian as well as Shades of Green. I will say, having now done this course a couple of times, watch your footing around here, that it can be a little bit dark and uneven. They are getting better at having it lit, but a little bit uneven. So just watch your footing, kind of look out for people around you. But you head up and then you head onto the walking path to by the Grand Flow toward Magic Kingdom. I'm really hoping, because they had it out for the marathon this year, that they have the electrical water pageant out again, because I absolutely love that. Love when they have the electrical water pageant out. It's just absolutely a vibe because it's still dark. The underlighting for the monorails, it's just so magical. And then around mile 5.5 or so, you are headed down Main Street. And if this is your first time, just take it in. It's amazing. Absolutely spectacular. It never gets old for me. This is I'd have to count actually what trip down Main Street this is for me. This will be my 5th Princess Half. I don't know. I'll do math. I will not do math publicly on a podcast, maybe. So anyway, you're going to head down Main Street and then you turn left into Adventureland. You make your loop around Adventureland. We have lots of good real bathroom options here. We are spoiled for options here in the Magic Kingdom. And then you head near into Liberty Square. You loop around near the Haunted Mansion. It's a small world that's kind of heads up into mile 6. And then you get to run through the castle, which again, wonderful, fantastic, amazing. And again, I'm going to repeat the advice that I've given before is that the castle shot line is never quite as long as it looks. So definitely stop and wait for it. There's usually 4 or 5 lines. I prefer to go to the furthest one because that will probably have a little bit longer of a line because the way they have you exit is running behind the other runners. So if you're at the furthest one, nobody can run behind you. Girl math. No, it's just how it works. But it's wonderful. It makes for an amazing photograph as well. And it's just super duper magical. Then you run toward Tomorrowland, hit the 6.2 mile marker around somewhere in Tomorrowland, and then you're on your way out of Magic Kingdom. But personally, I don't think the fun really ends here because you head toward the Contemporary, run on down, and then heading into the TTC is really nice because you get another kind of boost of spectators. And the TTC spectators get hyped. And it's definitely what you need, especially kind of going into that third 5K of the course. So headed up to 15 kilometers. And it's great. It kind of like makes the rest of the TTC parking lot for the half marathon not too bad. But then you head out of the TTC parking lot and then back toward the highway where you have your one food stop. And then you head down World Drive, headed toward Epcot. And you loop around and we do our favorite little overpasses where we always question our lives just a smidge for doing this. And then back into Epcot for a very quick little blip into the park. And then you exit your test track and you're on your way to 13.1. I love this course. I love Princess Half Marathon Weekend, if you can't tell by my enthusiasm for it. I know that people dog on the highways a little bit, but with all the extra kind of elbow room you have, I don't really mind. I usually get out, and I just like to say I get out and cook when I'm out on the highways. So it's kind of nice to just have that space to do so, to run your race and just have time to spread out a little bit. It's nice. One thing I don't think I've mentioned is that there are 9 water stops on this. So 8 of them will be water and Powerade. One of the very first one usually is just water. So Disney courses are very well adequately stocked for hydration. There are 6 medical stops and there's less than 3 miles between all the tents. Okay. How we're getting to these races are resort transportation times. It's recommended that you arrive no later than 4 a.m. If you're a villain, I know you just tuned me out. But it's recommended that, so I would definitely plan to be on a bus earlier than that from your resort because a lot of people have the same exact idea you do. So sometimes the buses can fill up a little bit. So you don't want to put yourself in that position. Just get there a little bit earlier. So for the 5K, your bus times from resort to start will be from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. and finish to resort 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Now, here's the chat frame. If you are very fast and you start around that 5 a.m. mark, you're going to have some time to kill. So, beer cup. That's all I'm saying. No, I'm just kidding. But it's food and bev will be open. But everybody is interested in the specialty beer cups that they only are now selling in the parking lots. I can't wait to see how cute they are. The monorail for monorail resorts will not be available during this, and the Skyliner is not available for any Run Disney transportation whatsoever during the weekend. During your normal part of your stays, yes, but not for any race transportation. So if you're at Pop, Caribbean Beach, Art of Animation, Riviera, Yacht Beach, Boardwalk, you're taking a bus. For the 10K, your bus is similarly from the resort to start will run from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. Finish line to resort will go from 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Again, no monorail for this. For the half marathon, your buses will run from resort to start line from 2:30 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. Finish to resort is from 6:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. There is no bus transportation for Magic Kingdom Resort guests, so you will have to take the monorail. To Epcot will start at 2:30 in the morning. To Magic Kingdom, if you're spectating, which I'll get to that, starts at 4:30 in the morning. Again, no Skyliner whatsoever for race transportation. Also, I have found in the past that buses kind of like low-key unofficially start like 15 to 30 minutes earlier. So like when I've stayed at Riverside, I've gotten on a bus about 30 minutes earlier than was advertised. So just keep that in mind, especially if you're an early birdie and you just really want to get there. I'm not going to make a promise because sometimes it has been only that 15 minutes early, but every so often, especially if you're just nervous by your placement and you really want to get that extra time and be there when your corral opens, that is an option. Speaking of when your corrals open, for both the 5K and the 10K, it'll open at 3:45 in the morning. For the half marathon, your corrals will open at 3:15 a.m. And speaking of corrals, we're going to talk about when your corral closes. So this is when they will no longer let people in to the corral and you will be asked to go to the next available open corral. So for the 5K, your corral closing times are as follows. If you are an A, your corral will close at 4:45 a.m. B, 4:50 a.m. C closes at 5 a.m. D closes at 5:10 a.m. E closes at 5:20 a.m. And F closes when the start line clears. No Corral Goofy, Corral G at this point. But that'll change going into the 10K and half. Speaking of, for the 10K, Corral A, same closing time, 4:45 a.m. Corral B will close at 4:50 a.m. Corral C will close at 4:55 a.m. So note that difference. Corral D closes at 5 a.m. Corral E closes at 5:15 a.m. Corral F closes at 5:30 a.m. And Corral G, as in Goofy, closes when the start line clears. For the half marathon, again, A will close at 4:45 a.m. B, again, closes at 4:50 a.m. Corral C closes at 4:55 a.m. Corral D closes at 5 a.m. Corral E closes at 5:10 a.m. Corral F closes at 5:20 a.m. And Corral G, as in Goofy, closes when the start line clears. If you've been numbers out, I'm sorry, because I'm also going to talk about projected start times. Now, just a kind of a disclaimer going into this. Projected start times are obviously approximate and may vary. They're subject to change. And they could be affected by inclement weather, race operations, delays. So listen to race announcements for any start time changes. Just kind of keeping in mind that like they push us out quickly for marathon weekend because they have the inclement weather. It wasn't like super duper fast. They took about 2 minutes off of what they had estimated, but okay. Corral A, your projected start time will be between 5 a.m. and 5:05 a.m. Corral B, 5:06 a.m. and 5:14 a.m. Corral C, 5:15 a.m. to 5:26 a.m. Corral D, 5:27 a.m. to 5:41 a.m. Corral E, 5:42 a.m. to 5:56 a.m. Corral F, 5:57 a.m. to 6:12 a.m. These are your projected start times for the 5K. Woo woo. Rolling on into the 10K. Group A, your projected start time will be from 5 a.m. to 5:03 a.m. Group B, from 5:04 a.m. to 5:09 a.m. Group C, 5:10 a.m. to 5:13 a.m. Group D, from 5:14 a.m. to 5:28 a.m. Group E, from 5:29 a.m. to 5:43 a.m. Group F, 5:44 a.m. to 5:55 a.m. And Group G, as in Goofy, 5:56 a.m. to 6:08 a.m. So if you kind of notice some of the smaller slivers up there, Group C appears to be where the POT cutoff is. All right, rolling into our half marathon. Group A, you will start between 5 a.m. and 5:02 a.m. Group B, 5:03 a.m. to 5:06 a.m. Group C, 5:07 a.m. to 5:10 a.m. Group D, 5:11 a.m. to 5:20 a.m. Group E, 5:21 a.m. to 5:34 a.m. Group F, 5:35 a.m. to 5:49 a.m. And Group G, from 5:50 a.m. to 6:05 a.m. These are our projected start times. It is interesting that D has a little bit of a smaller sliver because I feel like Group D is usually so big because usually Group D and E are like overflow or are like the same estimated start times. So it is interesting to see D because, you know, A, B, and C go out in about 10 minutes. Like, see you there. So it is interesting. Race day information. Gear check is available for all races in the reunion area. You're going to want to use the clear bag from the expo, but there are usually extras if you forgot that or need to double bag it for whatever reason. If you forget your gear check, it's going to go to the Epcot Lost and Found at Guest Relations outside the park. If you lose something that's not clothing, it goes to that same Lost and Found, but if you lose clothes, they will be donated. Okay, spectator information. For the 5K and 10K, it's just the start and finish line where you can spectate. For the half, it's a little different though. You can spectate at both the start and finish line, but there are some other options. At mile 4.5 at the Grand Floridian, and you do have to be a guest of the resort. So if you are planning on parking there to spectate, they're not going to let you. They're going to be grumpy about that. So don't make that your plan. Mile 5.4 is Magic Kingdom on Main Street, USA, which is only going to be accessible before 7:30 a.m. Mile 6.7, Contemporary Resort. Again, you do have to be a guest of the resort. And mile 7.5 is the Transportation and Ticket Center. Runner tracking, the link will be in the show notes. It's definitely not live yet. This uses an estimate for your pace based on how you get to the timing mats. So, for example, if you cross the 5K mark in 30 minutes, it'll estimate your pace so that you cross the 10K in 60 minutes and then the 15K in 90 minutes. It is not GPS enabled though. So if your runner stops for a character picture or the bathroom, it definitely will not pick up on this until they hit the next timing mat. So I'd recommend keeping in contact with your runner via Find My Friends, whatever other, tracking app you can to get the most accurate prediction of where they will be. I'm going to talk about some race etiquette. Woohoo! Please pay attention to pre-race instructions, both digital and verbal. What you read and hear will not only help guide you through the race course, but keep you safe. Please enter your correct start group. This will ensure that you are running with people who have a similar pace. If you want to run with a friend and they're in a different start group, the faster of the two friends can move back to the slower start group, but it can't go the other way. Run or walk no more than 2 abreast. Other athletes will want to get by you. And if you're walking in a group, please start in the last start group. If you're stopping at a water station, move all the way over to the table, grab your water, and then move away from the table so that others may also get water. Move to the side if someone behind you says, "Excuse me," or coming through. I always seem to find myself in the position where I am so you have a group on the right, on the left, and you have a group on the right, and there's enough space for me to comfortably pass. And I do not know how exactly to make that pass. I'm just at this point, I want to just say beep, beep. I would never do that. Sometimes it's just passing middle, because otherwise I'll say on your right, on your left, but you're one person's right and the other's left. So I usually just make a joke because I'm awkward and I don't exactly know what else to do with myself, which is kind of like the Natalie story, if I'm being real with you. Feel free to shout words of encouragement to other athletes and you will hear words of encouragement in return. Sometimes you'll see really funny signs. When you're approaching the finish line, you may see loved ones cheering you on. Please do not encourage anyone to join you in the finish line stretch. Your support team is very important, but please communicate that the race course and finish area is for registered participants and staff only. Enjoy the post-race refreshments, but remember that others will want to enjoy the goodies too. Oh my God, I cannot believe I forgot to bring this up. We drank them dry of cider during marathon weekend again. Because so when I went up to get my cider, I absolutely saw like the guy was like, I'm going to not charge you for this real quick because I'm not sure how much cider is actually left. So we drank them dry again. Good job, team. I got my cider. Now, this is a weekend where we're not quite done yet. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to talk about yoga. So this is a wonderful way to wrap up your royal weekend with Disney Princess Yoga. It's at Hollywood Studios and begins on Monday, March 2nd at 5 a.m. Some highlights of the event. It's a 1-hour yoga experience. You're going to have a yoga mat with carrying strap will be provided for each participant, as well as bottled water. And complimentary guest parking is provided at Hollywood Studios between 4 a.m. and 4:45 a.m. Guests must bring a valid photo ID and completed yoga check-in pass to check in. So sign that digital waiver online. Check-in begins at 4:15 a.m. at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Parking lot opens at 4. Security bag check will open at 4 a.m. Guests must arrive prior to 4:45 a.m. for check-in. Guests will be exited from Hollywood Studios at the end of the event, and a valid theme park ticket and reservation is required to re-enter the park. You must be 10 years or older to participate. And children under age 14 must be accompanied by a guest age 14 or older to participate. Yoga location is subject to change. Actual location within the activity area is on a first come, first serve basis. So you'll grab your mat. You're not assigned a mat spot. You'll just kind of grab it as you come in. Now, in the past, we have had like the bus schedule because it's very strict from what I remember, at least what it has been in the past, where it's been like the bus pickup at the Contemporary as like 3:15 or something like that. Maybe 3:15 is a little early, but I will keep my eye on the event guide. And if I get news or hankerings about what's to come, or if they drop any more information about this, I don't see it all in the event guide. Again, this is as of time of recording about a week ago. So I don't actually see that at this point in time. I've heard yoga is wonderful. There's character opportunities, and it's kind of a nice way to wrap up the weekend or get it kicked off if it's one of the ones that are before. So now onto my favorite little newer part of this are the different digital event guide tings. The Honey Stinger code is same as normal of Disney 30 for 30% off all products on honeystinger.com. Sparkle Athletic has a code for 10% off all website purchases using the code StrongWomen10 for 10% off until 3/15/26. Those are the only current, at least as of the time of recording, those are the only deals I'm seeing. Again, could be subject to change or subject to additions. So I definitely, as the event gets closer, I definitely recommend leafing through this yourself for sure. First of all, the graphics are pretty darn cute. Secondly, there's a lot of good information that is also in here, and it's definitely helpful. I mean, to be honest, something I do is I do find the timestamps of what my corral closing group is from the episode transcripts, but you don't have to do that necessarily. You can just save down these graphics. That'll give you all the information that you need about your bus resort transportation, when your corrals are closing, when your projected start time is. But I do try to consolidate as much as possible. Oh, Mission cooling towels, 25% off. But I try to consolidate as much information as possible in here. Ooh, okay, wait. So, Banana Ball. Love this. There is a tile for Banana Ball. It's coming to ESPN Wide Brother Sports, May 29th and 30th of 2026. It's not the Savannah Bananas, but it's other ones in the league. There is a limited number of tickets, inclusive of food and beverage, that are now available for purchase from Ticketmaster, and there is a link to that. So that's pretty cool. That reminds me that I have not heard a no yet for a purchase of Banana Ball tickets in my city. But that also means I haven't heard a yes either. So I keep getting emails that said, you're in the right place. Don't freak out yet. I'm like, but like, how am I supposed to not do that? It's kind of funny. Just a little piece of advice, I guess, off the cuff about the expo. Most things, if you don't have them, can be found there. I wouldn't recommend maybe leaving the shoe purchase to them, even though they do have Brooks shoes and will have Brooks shoes. But a lot of things, I forget something almost every race weekend. I'm doing better about that though, because I have owner's lockers. So, but I tend to forget something every time. So a pair of Gooders, extra KT tape. To get KT taped, they do one area for free, but 2 areas will cost, you have to buy a roll of tape. I find the price very fair. Usually it's 2 for $30, and that's a little bit better than I can find at home for the most part for name brand KT tape. And honestly, they usually have the most fun colors. Like at home, it's like taupe, beige, black, more taupe, but not the same taupe. So the more fun colors, I found a pink polka dot one once, and I'm still kind of sad I didn't buy multiple rolls of the pink polka dots. Pink, yellow, purple, electric blue, because sometimes they have run out of KT tape as well though. So also if you have yours from home, you can get taped there having brought it from home, but must be KT tape, name brand. I obviously am a frequent flyer at that booth, especially if it's part of my PR ritual or just marathon ritual in general. So it's a good one to visit. I like to go back on Saturday usually to the expo if I'm going to go back, and chill vibe, especially during marathon weekend. Very chill vibe. There's a bunch of different boot vendors. So if you've been on the kind of the fence about, if you were not influenced by my Costco not ad, because I definitely did not get paid for that. I just did that for fun. But you want to try out a compression boot first, definitely go to the expo, try them out. The salespeople aren't pushy really in terms of what they could be. I'm going to say that the Clicks people with the reusable heating pads, they are, or the hair people, they are. The boot people usually for the most part aren't too pushy. They will kind of give you the information about HSAs, what the boots can do for you, but you can use the boots for about 30 minutes or usually about 20 to 30 minute sessions. And it feels really nice. Really, 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 really nice. So I definitely would recommend that in terms of the expo. I love just going back to the expo in general though. So I don't know. It's something you can only do during a Run Disney weekend. So it's a special thing to do. Let's see. What else do I have for you related to Princess? If it's your first Princess, well, welcome. Princess is literally my favorite. So I love all the sparkles and tutu and glitter. This isn't something I can necessarily promise, but they usually will have Cinderella's carriage out at ESPN, and they're usually photo ops, and they'll have a glass slipper and everything. So the whole 9 yards, the whole getup. I don't know about you guys, but I still definitely have to get my costumes together. I have okay. I am just coming back from Disneyland right now. Okay. Now I definitely need to start getting my costumes and such together so that I am prepared for Princess Half Marathon weekend, because it's definitely going to come up quick. I have concepts of a costume for one. I have a couple potential sort of maybes for some other stuff. I definitely have a nice large costume box though, and plenty of Crowned Athletics. So I think I will be just fine, but it's always kind of interesting to see where my brain goes last minute. Cause for some reason I've never actually dressed fully as a princess before for a Princess Half Marathon weekend. I still got to do Jolly Holiday Mary Poppins too. I don't know, the world is my oyster, but anywho, I think I've rambled a little bit enough today. So I hope that you are getting your glitter needs taken care of, Miles of Shimmer. I hope that you are getting yourself all prepared and pumped up for Princess Half Marathon weekend, because it definitely is going to be an awesome time. And I cannot wait. Cannot wait to be back on the East Coast and celebrating with my friends there for a race weekend. If you enjoy listening to our show, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We love reading your reviews out loud. You might even be featured on a future podcast episode. We have a community spotlight on our Instagram at Stride Sisters Podcast. If you want to be featured for a Medal Monday, Finish Line Friday, or any accomplishment you want to celebrate, send us a picture via our social media platforms or our email. And to continue the fun, join us on our Facebook page. All the ways to connect with us can be found in the show notes. Thanks for listening. Until our next adventure, we're wishing you endless miles of magic and memories. See you next time.